Admiral Tejo stood at the observation deck of Station Omega and watched the stars. 83 years had passed since humanity first met the Galactic Concord. 83 years of treaties, trade agreements, and quiet insults. The elder species smiled at humans the way adults smile at children who think they are important. The Concord had 12 species. The Velith Dominion ruled them all. They were tall creatures with hard shells like insects, and they moved with the confidence of those who had conquered stars for 10,000 years. When humans arrived, the Velith looked at them and saw nothing special. Just another young species. Just another tool to use. Tejo remembered his first day at the Concord Assembly. A Velith diplomat had laughed at his uniform. "How cute," the alien had said. "They dress like real officers." That was 40 years ago. Tejo did not forget. Now he commanded Earth's United Fleet. It was a small fleet compared to the Velith Armada, but it was growing. Human engineers worked day and night. Human scientists pushed the boundaries of physics. The elder species did not notice. They never noticed the small ones until it was too late. His communicator beeped. A message from Colony Sarah 7. "Father, the flowers bloomed today." Tejo smiled. His daughter Bo Young lived on Sarah 7 with her husband and their 2 children. She sent him messages every week. Small things, simple things. The flowers in her garden, her son's first words, her daughter's drawings of spaceships. Sarah 7 was a beautiful world. Green forests, clean rivers, and 4.2 million humans who called it home. It was far from Earth, on the edge of human space, but the Concord had given them permission to settle there. Permission. As if humans needed permission to exist, Tejo sent a reply. "I will visit soon. Save some flowers for me." He did not know those would be his last words to her. In the capital world of the Velith Dominion, High Speaker Torvak called a secret meeting. Only the highest Velith commanders attended. No other species was invited. No records were kept. Torvak stood before a holographic display of human space. 14 colonies, billions of potential soldiers. Technology that improved every year. "The humans are a problem," Torvak said. His voice clicked and hissed like all Velith speech. "They breed fast. They learn fast. They build fast. In 100 years, they might challenge us. In 200, they might surpass us." A commander named Vekris spoke up. "They are loyal members of the Concord. They follow our laws. For now." Torvak moved his long fingers across the display. "But they are not like the others. The Renari accepted their place. The Morveth accepted their place. Humans do not accept. They pretend to accept while they sharpen their knives." "What do you suggest?" Torvak pressed a button. The display changed to show military formations. Thousands of warships, biological weapons, ground troops, cleansing protocol Omega. Torvak said, "We remove the threat before it grows. All colonies, simultaneously. Earth will be left alone as a warning to other young species." Vekris felt cold despite his thick shell. "The Concord will not approve this. The Concord will not know until it is done. And when it is done, they will do what they always do. Nothing." Torvak turned to face his commanders. "Do you think the Renari care about humans? Do you think the Morveth will fight for them? They will write reports. They will express concern, and then they will forget." The commanders looked at each other. Some felt doubt, but none spoke against Torvak. The High Speaker had ruled for 200 years. His word was law. "Begin preparations," Torvak ordered. "The operation starts in 30 days. On Earth." Dr. Yun-Sik presented his research to the Defense Council. He was a small man with tired eyes and ink stains on his fingers. He had not slept in 3 days. "This is the new propulsion system," he said, showing diagrams on the screen. "It will make our ships twice as fast as Velith cruisers. We can have the first prototypes ready in 2 years." General Daejun leaned forward. He was the head of the council, a broad man with gray hair and scars from old battles. "The Velith will not like this. The Velith do not like anything we do," Yun-Sik replied. "But they cannot stop progress. They can only delay it." Daejun nodded slowly. He had spent his whole career watching the Concord treat humanity like servants, good enough to trade with, Good enough to tax, but never good enough to respect. Continue your work, Daejun said. But keep it quiet. Yoon-sik bowed and left the room. He walked through the corridors of the research facility, past hundreds of scientists working on projects the Concorde would never approve. Weapons, shields, engines. Humanity was preparing for something, even if they did not know what. In his small office, Yoon-sik looked at a photo on his desk. His parents. They had died on a transport ship when the Velith refused to send rescue teams. Not worth the resources, the Concorde had said. Yoon-sik worked harder after that. On Colony Sarah 7, Lieutenant Mina finished her shift at the communications center. She was young, only 26, with short black hair and sharp eyes. Her job was simple. Monitor signals, report anything unusual. Today, something was unusual. Strange readings, she told her supervisor. Ships approaching from Velith space. Military signatures. The supervisor checked the data. Probably a patrol. They pass through sometimes. This many. Mina pointed at the screen. I count over 200 vessels. The supervisor frowned. He sent a message to the colony governor. The governor sent a message to the Velith embassy. The embassy did not reply. Mina watched the ships grow closer. Her stomach felt tight. Something was wrong. She could feel it the way animals feel storms before they arrive. She opened a channel to the lead ship. Velith Fleet. This is Colony Sarah 7 Communications. Please state your purpose. Static. Velith Fleet. Please respond. More static. Then the channel cleared. And Mina heard a sound she would never forget. Velith laughter. Cold. Empty. The laughter of hunters who had found their prey. The first missiles launched before she could speak again. They hit the orbital defense stations. Then the power plants. Then the hospitals. The Velith did not target military installations first. They targeted civilians. They targeted schools. Mina ran to the emergency pods as the building shook around her. She looked back once and saw fire falling from the sky like rain. They did not respond with words. They responded with fire. The escape pod was small and cold. Mina pressed her face against the tiny window and watched her world die. Colony Sarah 7 burned below her. The green forests were now black smoke. The clean rivers boiled into steam. The cities that took 50 years to build disappeared in minutes. She could see the Velith ships, moving in perfect formation, firing beam after beam into the surface. They were not trying to conquer. They were trying to erase. Her communicator picked up fragments of screams, families calling for help, children crying for their parents, a man praying in a language she did not understand. Then silence. One by one, the voices stopped. Mina turned on her recording device. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. This is Lieutenant Mina of Colony Sarah 7. The date is March 15th, 2347. The Velith Dominion has attacked without warning. They are killing everyone. This is not war, this is murder. She pointed the device at the window. She recorded everything. The ships, the fire, the bodies floating in space where evacuation shuttles had been shot down. She recorded because someone had to remember. Someone had to tell Earth what happened here. Across human space, the same horror repeated 14 times. Colony New Berlin. Population 2.1 million. Gone in 4 hours. The Velith used biological weapons there. A green gas that melted flesh from bone. Families died holding each other in their homes. Colony brightness. Population 890,000. Gone in 6 hours. The Velith landed ground troops. They went door to door. They were thorough. Colony Far Hope. Population 3.4 million. Gone in 3 hours. The Velith commander there was efficient. He simply cracked the colony's dome and let space do the rest. On Station Omega, Admiral Taeho received the first distress call at 0300 hours. By 0400, his communication officers were crying at their stations. By 0500, Taeho had stopped counting the dead. He tried to reach Bo Young. The signal connected for 3 seconds. Father, they're here. They're killing. The transmission cut. Static filled the channel. Taeho kept the channel open for 6 hours, waiting for her voice to return. It never did. His officers watched him stand at his station like a statue. His face showed nothing. His eyes showed everything. Something inside Admiral Tejo died that night. Something else took its place. Something cold and patient and terrible. The Galactic Concord held an emergency meeting. Representatives from all 12 species gathered in the Great Hall of the Concord capital. The Velith sat in their usual place of honor. High Speaker Torvak looked bored. The Morveth representative spoke first. "We have received reports of attacks on human colonies. We demand an explanation." Torvak clicked his teeth in the Velith way of smiling. "The humans violated Concord law. They developed weapons without permission. They planned rebellion. We acted to protect galactic peace. You killed millions of civilians. We removed a threat." Torvak spread his long arms. "The Concord Charter allows defensive action against species that threaten stability. Humans were unstable. Now they are stable." The hall fell silent. Everyone knew Torvak was lying. Everyone knew humans had done nothing wrong. But the Velith had the largest fleet. The Velith had the most resources. The Velith had ruled for 10,000 years. The Renari representative spoke quietly. "We should investigate these claims." "Investigation is not necessary," Torvak replied. "The matter is closed. Unless the Concord wishes to challenge the Dominion." No one spoke. They voted. 11 species chose not to interfere. 1 species abstained. The humans had no representative to vote for them. Their representative had died on Colony New Berlin, with her family. The Concord session ended. The representatives returned to their ships. Some felt shame. Most felt relief. The human problem was solved. The galaxy could return to normal. On Earth, the news arrived slowly. First came confused reports. Then came terrible confirmations. Then came the final numbers. 23 million humans. Dead in 72 hours. Cities across Earth fell silent. People gathered in streets and stared at screens showing the destruction. Parents held their children. Old soldiers cried. Young people made fists. General Daejun addressed the planet from the Defense Council chamber. His uniform was perfect. His medals gleamed. His voice broke once when he mentioned the children of Colony Brightness. Then it turned to iron. 72 hours ago, the Velith Dominion committed genocide against our people. They did not warn us. They did not negotiate. They did not even declare war. They simply decided, we should die. He paused. The cameras showed his face. It was the face of a man who had run out of tears. The Galactic Concord voted today. 11 species voted to do nothing. 11 species watched our children burn and called it an internal matter. Daejun looked directly into the camera. His eyes held something that made viewers across Earth straighten their backs. Humanity has been a member of the Concord for 83 years. We have followed their laws. We have respected their customs. We have been patient and peaceful and obedient. And in return, they murdered our families. He placed his hands on the podium. No more patience, no more peace, no more obedience. The Velith chose genocide. We will choose our answer, and when we deliver it, the galaxy will never forget what happens when you mistake human kindness for human weakness. The broadcast ended. Earth remained silent, but it was not the silence of grief. It was the silence of a blade being sharpened. Mina's escape pod was recovered 3 days later by a human patrol ship. She had not eaten or slept. She had only recorded 47 hours of footage. Every death she could capture, every ship she could identify, every order she could intercept. She handed the recording device to Admiral Tejo personally. He took it without speaking. His hands were steady. His face was empty. He watched the entire recording alone in his quarters. He saw the ships arrive. He saw the missiles fall. He saw Colony Sarah 7 burn. He saw the house where his daughter lived. He saw it become ash. When the recording ended, Tejo sat in darkness for 3 days. His officers brought him food. He did not eat. They brought him reports. He did not read. On the 4th day, he emerged from his quarters. He had shaved. He had dressed in his finest uniform. His eyes were clear and hard, like diamonds forged in hell. Call Dr. Yunsik, he told his aide. Tell him resources are no longer limited. Tell him I need something that will make stars weep. His aide asked what they were building. Tejo looked out the window at the distant stars. Somewhere out there, the Velith were celebrating their victory. They thought the story was over. We are building their extinction, Tejo said. And we are going to take our time. They called it pest control. We would teach them what extinction truly meant. Earth went quiet. Not the quiet of defeat. The quiet of a predator learning to hunt. The day after General Daejun's speech, all communications with the Galactic Concord stopped. Alien ambassadors were escorted to their ships by armed guards. No one spoke to them. No one looked at them. They were simply removed like furniture that was no longer needed. The Morvith ambassador tried to explain. We wanted to help, he said. But the vote, the human guard did not respond. He pointed at the ship. The ambassador boarded. The ship left. That was the last alien to leave Earth for 18 months. The Velith received reports of Earth's silence. High Speaker Torvak read them during his morning meal. They have closed their borders, his aide reported. No trade. No communication. No response to our diplomatic channels. Torvak clicked his teeth in amusement. They are mourning. Let them mourn. In a few years, they will accept their place. They will crawl back to the conquered begging for trade agreements. That is what lesser species do. Should we monitor their activities? Why bother? What can they do? Build a fleet? We have 10,000 ships. They have 200. The math is simple. Torvak returned to his meal. Wake me when they send an apology. Torvak was wrong about the math. He would learn this lesson too late. On Earth, Admiral Tejo stood in a shipyard that had not existed 6 months ago. Around him, workers moved like ants building a colony. Welding sparks flew through the air. The sounds of hammers and machines filled the massive space. 50 ships completed, Captain Hannah reported. She walked beside him. Her tablet showing production numbers. 200 more in various stages. The new design is faster to build than we expected. Are they better than Velith ships? Better? Hannah smiled, but it was not a kind smile. Admiral, these ships are not designed to be better. They are designed to be cruel. She showed him the specifications. Weapons that could punch through Velith armor like paper. Engines that could outrun their fastest cruisers. Shields that absorbed energy and turned it into more power. Every system was designed with one purpose. We call them Reaper class, Hannah said. Because that is what they will do. Tejo nodded. Build more. Build them until our shipyards break. In his laboratory, Dr. Yoon-sik had not slept in 8 days. Empty coffee cups covered his desk. Equations covered his walls. His assistants worried about his health. He did not care about his health. He only cared about the answer. The theory is solid, he told his team. A focused beam that destabilizes stellar matter. It does not destroy a star quickly. It makes the star sick. The star burns hotter. It swells. It dies slowly over days or weeks. His assistant, a young woman named Sujin, looked at the calculations. This weapon could kill entire solar systems. Yes. Is that what we want? Yoon-sik turned to face her. His eyes were red from exhaustion and something else. Something darker. They killed 23 million of us in 3 days, he said. They laughed while children burned. They celebrated while families suffocated in space. They called us pests. He tapped the equations on his wall. This is the pest spray. Sujin did not argue. She went back to work. Lieutenant Mina became something she never expected. She became a symbol. General Daejun asked her to testify before the Defense Council. She showed her recordings to the highest leaders on Earth. They watched in silence as colonies burned. They watched as Velith soldiers walked through streets killing everyone they found. They watched as ships fired on escape pods full of children. When the recording ended, Daejun spoke. Some of our allies in the Concord say we should negotiate. They say revenge will not bring back the dead. They say we should think about the future. He looked at Mina. Lieutenant, what do you say? Mina stood straight. Her voice was steady. The dead cannot speak, she said. So I speak for them. They do not want negotiation. They want justice. And if the Concord calls justice revenge, then I am proud to be revengeful. The council voted unanimously. Total war. No mercy. No limits. Months passed. Earth transformed. Factories that once made consumer goods now made weapons. Schools taught military tactics alongside mathematics. Children who had never seen violence learned to hate the Velith with cold, patient hatred. Captain Hana oversaw the training of new crews. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were survivors, orphans, and volunteers who had lost everything. They did not fight for glory or medals. They fought because something had been taken from them that could never be returned. Your enemy believes you are weak, Hana told them during training. Your enemy believes you will break. Your enemy believes you are alone in this galaxy. She paused. Your enemy is correct about one thing. We are alone. The Concord will not help us. The other species will not save us. We have only ourselves. She walked among the rows of new soldiers. But our enemy is wrong about everything else. We are not weak. We do not break. And when we are finished, the Velith will pray for death long before we grant it. The soldiers did not cheer. They did not shout. They simply nodded. They understood. 18 months after the genocide, Admiral Tejo visited Dr. Yun-Sik's laboratory. The weapon was complete. It sat in the center of the room, smaller than Tejo expected. Just a metal cylinder with glowing lines. This is it? Tejo asked. Yun-Sik nodded. Tears ran down his face, though he did not sob. This is the answer, he said. One shot will begin the death of any star. The process cannot be stopped. The star will expand and consume everything in its system. He wiped his eyes. I have created extinction in a box. Tejo placed his hand on the weapon. It was warm. How many do we have? 12. I can make more. Tejo was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke. The Velith have 4 core worlds. Their home system has 2 habitable planets and a star they have worshipped for 10,000 years. He looked at Yun-Sik. Prepare 4 weapons for deployment. The others are reserve. Yun-Sik nodded. He asked one question. Will this bring peace? Tejo thought of Bo-Young, her laugh, her flowers, her last transmission. No, he said. This will bring silence. The kind of silence they taught us. The fleet assembled in orbit around Earth. 300 ships. The largest human armada in history. Small compared to the Velith. But size did not matter anymore. Only will mattered. Only hate mattered. Admiral Tejo broadcast one message to his crews. They wanted us to die quietly. We chose to make the universe hear us scream. The fleet jumped toward Velith space. The hunt had begun. The Velith early warning stations were the first to die. Captain Hana's stealth carriers appeared from nowhere. One moment, the sensors showed empty space. The next moment, 40 ships surrounded each station. The attacks happened simultaneously across 12 locations. The entire Velith detection network fell in 6 minutes. A station commander managed to send one partial message before his station exploded. Unknown contacts. Human signatures. Impossible. By the time Velith Command received the message, it was already too late. Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of his flagship. The Vengeance. Around him, 300 human warships moved through Velith space like ghosts. They did not hide. They simply moved faster than anyone expected. Time to the home system? Tejo asked. 4 hours, his navigation officer replied. Enemy response? Confused. They are still trying to understand what happened to their sensor network. Their fleet is scattered across their territory for patrol duty. Tejo nodded. Good. By the time they gather, we will already be there. On the Velith capital world, High Speaker Torvak received reports that made no sense. Human ships inside Velith space. Sensor stations destroyed. No warning. No declaration of war. This is impossible, Torvak said. Humans do not have stealth technology. Humans do not have faster-than-light engines of this speed. The reports are confirmed, his military advisor said. Our home system is exposed. Torvak felt something he had not felt in 200 years. Fear. He pushed it down. He refused to believe that lesser species could threaten his people. Gather the home fleet, all ships, destroy them before they reach our worlds. The advisor hesitated. Most of our fleet is deployed across the territory. We can gather perhaps 800 ships in time, 800 against 300. Those are acceptable odds. Sir, our scouts report their weapons are unusual. They destroyed our stations in single shots. Torvak slammed his fist on the table. I do not care about their weapons. They are humans. They are insects. We will crush them as we crushed their colonies. The advisor bowed and left. He did not share Torvak's confidence. He had seen the recordings from the destroyed stations. The human ships moved like predators. They attacked like hate given physical form. The Velith home fleet assembled around their largest planet, a world called Vorthan. 800 warships formed a defensive line. Behind them, 3 billion Velith civilians watched the stars with growing fear. They had heard rumors. Humans were coming. Humans wanted revenge. Admiral Teho's fleet arrived exactly on schedule. They did not stop at the edge of the system. They did not send diplomatic messages. They flew straight toward the Velith line at full speed. Admiral, his weapons officer said, they are hailing us. High Speaker Torvak wishes to negotiate. Teho considered for 1 second. Decline. They are offering reparations. Territory. Trade agreements. Teho thought of Boyoung. Her garden. Her children who never grew up. Decline all communications. Open fire when in range. The battle began with human ships moving in patterns the Velith had never seen. They did not fight in lines. They did not follow standard formation tactics. They attacked like wolves. Small groups targeted single Velith ships, overwhelming them with coordinated fire. Then moving to the next target, Velith weapons fired back. Some shots hit. Human ships burned. But for every human ship destroyed, 10 Velith ships fell. The new weapons cut through Velith armor like it was not there. The new shields absorbed damage that should have been fatal. Captain Hana's carrier group circled behind the Velith line. Her ships launched fighters that targeted engine systems. Velith cruisers lost power and drifted, helpless, while human destroyers finished them. Enemy fleet at 50%, Hana reported. They are beginning to break formation. Continue, Teho ordered. No one escapes. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, 400 Velith ships were debris. The rest had fled or surrendered. Human losses were 72 ships. The math that Torvak had once dismissed now worked against him. Teho moved his fleet to orbit around the Velith home planet. Below, 3 billion aliens waited for their fate. Above, human weapons pointed down like the fingers of an angry god. Admiral, his communications officer said, High Speaker Torvak is broadcasting on all channels. Put him on. Torvak's image appeared on the screen. He looked smaller than before. His confidence was gone. Admiral Teho, Torvak said, I am prepared to discuss terms. The Velith Dominion recognizes its errors. We are willing to pay compensation. We are willing to submit to Concord judgment. Please, let us resolve this through diplomacy. Teho stared at the screen. He let the silence stretch. Lieutenant Mina, Teho said without looking away from Torvak. Play the recording. The screen split. On one side, Torvak's face. On the other, footage from Colony Sarah 7. Velith soldiers shooting civilians. Velith ships firing on hospitals. Velith laughter over communication channels. Torvak watched. His face changed. You chose genocide, Teho said. We chose reciprocity. Pray to whatever gods you have. He ended the transmission. Deploy the answer, he ordered. Target their star. The weapon launched from the Vengeance. It was small. It moved slowly. The Velith tried to intercept it, but human ships formed a wall of protection. The weapon reached its target and activated. The star began to change. Its color shifted. Its size began to grow. The process would take days, but it could not be stopped. The Velith homestar was dying. Torvak contacted every species in the Concord. He begged for intervention. He demanded they stop the humans. He offered anything. Everything. General Daejun responded to the Concord's emergency summit with one action. He broadcast Mina's recordings to every world, every station, every ship in the galaxy. 47 hours of genocide. 47 hours of screaming children and laughing killers. Then he cut communications. Earth had nothing more to say. The Velith evacuated what they could. Millions fled to colony worlds. Billions could not escape in time. They watched their sacred star swell into a monster that would consume them. Admiral Tejo did not watch. He moved to the next target. Then, the next. 4 Velith worlds burned before the Dominion offered unconditional surrender. Tejo accepted nothing. The campaign continued. When it finally ended, the Velith controlled one planet, one single world, far from their original territory, under permanent human military occupation. They were forbidden to build ships, forbidden to leave their atmosphere, forbidden to speak of their former glory. The Galactic Concord sent a delegation to Admiral Tejo, hoping to restore diplomatic relations. They spoke of peace and understanding and moving forward. Tejo showed them Mina's recording. "You voted 11-1, he said. "You watched our children die and called it an internal matter." The delegation had no response. "Go home," Tejo told them. "Tell your people what you saw here. Tell them what happens when they mistake mercy for weakness. And pray we never have this conversation again." They begged for mercy. He remembered Bo Young's last scream. The fleet continued firing. 10 years had passed since the Velith burned. The galaxy was different now. The Galactic Concord existed only in history books. The great alliance of 12 species had broken apart like glass dropped on stone. No one trusted anyone. No one helped anyone. Each species stayed in its own territory and watched the darkness between stars with fear. Humanity had taught them something new about the universe. Power was not about fleets or resources or ancient history. Power was about will. And humans had more will than anyone had ever imagined. The Velith Dominion was a memory. Their home system was a grave. 4 dead stars marked where their great civilization had once ruled. The survivors lived on a cold planet at the edge of human space, watched by orbital stations that never slept. A young Velith named Thrun walked through the streets of their last city. He had been born after the war. He had never seen the home worlds. He only knew stories from the elders, who still remembered. "What was it like?" he asked his grandmother. "The old worlds?" She was quiet for a long time. Her eyes were empty in the way that only survivors' eyes could be empty. "Beautiful," she said. "We had forests that glowed at night, oceans that sang in the wind, cities that touched the clouds." She paused. "And we threw it away. We threw it away because we thought we were gods." "Why did they spare us?" Thrun asked. "Why not kill everyone?" His grandmother shook her head. "They did not spare us out of kindness. They spared us to remember. We are not survivors. We are a warning." Above them, a human patrol ship crossed the sky. It happened every hour. The Velith were never allowed to forget who owned their future. On Earth, Admiral Tejo lived in a small house by the sea. He had retired 5 years ago. His uniform hung in a closet, unworn. His medals sat in a drawer, unseen. Every morning, he walked to the beach and watched the waves. Every morning, he thought about Bo Young. He had won the war. He had destroyed an empire. He had made the galaxy fear humanity. And none of it brought his daughter back. None of it filled the silence in his heart. Captain Hana visited him sometimes. She commanded the patrol fleet now. 300 ships that guarded human space with absolute authority. Her standing orders were simple. Any unidentified vessel within 100 light-years would be destroyed. No warnings. No questions. "The Morveth want to establish trade relations," Hana told him during one visit. "They sent 17 requests this year." Tejo did not look up from the waves. "What did we tell them?" "The same thing we tell everyone. Humanity does not need friends." "Good." Hana sat beside him on the sand. She was older now. Gray touched her hair, but her eyes were still sharp, still cold. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "What we did?" Tejo considered the question. He had asked himself the same thing many times. "I regret that it was necessary," he said. "I do not regret doing it." Hana nodded. She understood. They all understood. The humans who had lived through the genocide carried the same weight, the same emptiness, the same quiet rage that never fully died. Lieutenant Mina was Ambassador Mina now. the first human ambassador to the galaxy. But ambassador was not quite the right word. She did not negotiate. She did not discuss. She delivered terms. Species that wanted to trade with humanity came to her. They waited in line. They brought gifts and promises. She listened to each one with a face that showed nothing. "You may trade with us," she told the Renari delegation. "These are the terms. You will accept them, or you will leave." There is no discussion. The Renari ambassador tried to bargain. "Perhaps we could adjust the mineral quotas. The terms are final." Mina stood. "You have 1 minute to decide." They accepted. They always accepted. Because the alternative was being cut off from human technology, human protection, human markets. The alternative was being alone in a galaxy that had learned to fear. After the delegation left, Mina stood at her window and looked at the stars. She thought about Sierra 7, about the friends she had lost, about the screams that still echoed in her dreams. She had become something she never wanted to be. Hard, cold, merciless. But the galaxy had made her this way. The Velith had made her this way, and she would never let it happen again. Dr. Yunsik lived in a laboratory that had no name on any map. After the war, he had destroyed all blueprints for the answer. He had hidden the remaining weapons in locations only he knew. "They are too dangerous," he told Daejun, who had become president of Earth. "If anyone else gets this technology, the galaxy ends." Daejun accepted his decision. Humanity had the ultimate weapon. They did not need to use it again. The threat was enough. Yunsik spent his days working on other projects. Medical technology, agricultural improvements, things that helped people instead of killing them. He tried to balance the scales. He tried to create as much life as he had destroyed. It was not enough. It would never be enough. But he kept working. On a distant world, a young alien diplomat named Vri prepared for his first mission to human space. He was Morvith, a species of tall, gentle beings who had always preferred peace to war. His elder advisor gave him final instructions. "The humans are difficult," the advisor said. "They do not trust. They do not forgive. Do not mention the Concord. Do not mention the past. Simply do your job and return home." Vri nodded. He had studied human history. He had watched the recordings from the war. He understood why humans were the way they were. But he was young. And young people always ask questions. "Why do they hate us so much?" he asked. "The Velith attacked them. Not us. We did nothing wrong." The advisor was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with old shame. "That is exactly the problem," he said. "We did nothing. When the Velith murdered their children, we did nothing. When their colonies burned, we voted to look away. We were not the ones who pulled the trigger, but we held the door open. But surely they understand. They understand perfectly." The advisor looked out the window at the stars. "They understand that when they needed help, the galaxy abandoned them. They understand that they can only rely on themselves, and they will never forget. Never forgive." Vri felt cold. "Then how do we make peace?" The advisor shook his head. "We do not. We simply hope they allow us to exist. That is the best we can hope for now." Years later, after Vri had served many missions to human space, another young diplomat asked him the same question. Why did humans fear nothing? Why did every species treat them with such careful respect? Vri thought of Admiral Tejo's empty eyes, of Ambassador Mina's cold voice, of the dead stars that marked Velith space. He gave the only answer that mattered, because they taught us something we forgot. Mercy is given, never owed, and they have none left to give. The young diplomat did not understand. Vri hoped he never would. Some lessons were too painful to learn firsthand. The stars continued to burn, the galaxy continued to turn, and humanity stood alone in the darkness, watching, waiting, ready.